So I know the old adage goes, hey, don't judge a book by its cover because you don't know what the contents contain, right? Well, I think in the world of anime, we kind of do the opposite. We judge it specifically on the cover. If you're going through, Crunchyroll or Hulu or wherever you watch it at, you look and you see logos and you see thumbnails and you're like, hey, I want to watch that, or hey, I don't want to watch that. So I kind of want to explore that today and rank what are some of the best and worst logos in anime. So let's get into it. Okay, so before I get started, I want to preface this by saying that you probably shouldn't judge too harshly based off of an anime's logo or title card, because some of the stuff that does come out could be amazing despite the logo itself. But I just think this would be a fun little thing to do. But also, I don't want to judge too harshly because designing does take a lot of work and it is hard work. So I don't want to be like, hey man, you just have no respect for artists. No, I do. I respect them, but I have respect for critics, and I'm gonna critique these harshly, but also nicely. Okay, so right off the bat, let's start with the Pokemon logo. Everyone knows it. It's so iconic. As far as like the logo itself, it's just simple, just says Pokemon, but the font has become transcendent and it is recognizable. As soon as you see it, you're like, hey, that's a Pokemon font. I know that anywhere. And I think because of that and the fact that, it's just so recognizable now, it has to garner probably an S tier as far as a logo goes. But just if it wasn't iconic and it just first came out, when you first see the logo, you're kind of like, that's kind of interesting. I don't know if it would pull anybody in just seeing just Pokemon. The color scheme is very interesting. It's hard to pull off a yellow logo like that with some blues mixed into it. But yeah, I think right away, let's just start off with an S tier. Pokemon, this could be like the standard logo, I think, because it has staying power and it has just gone past what, a main logo is. Now it is just so synonymous with the Pokemon franchise. As soon as you just see that or the font of it itself, you're like, hey, Pokemon. Okay, so now I want to talk about a little bit of a newer anime that's out this year. It is kicking ass and kicking literally. It's Blue Lock. Okay, so their logo, I really did not like it when I first saw it. I was like, this is just basic. It's Blue Lock and it has like the grid, and I'm like, that's okay. But the more I see it on every title card and every opening, I'm like, you know what? I think I kind of like this. And I think it would look really cool just like on a shirt, just plain Blue Lock. I think anything that looks good on merchandise, just if you can just use it straight up, like any streetwear brand that you see, like Supreme's a big one, like just the box logo itself, it just says Supreme and it's just in the box, and it's just like, if you see that, you automatically like, damn, that's a good piece of clothing. And I think that you could do that with the Blue Lock logo. You could just put it on a shirt and it would be nice. It could be readable, it's wearable, it's fashionable, and it's subtle enough to be like, hey, that's nice, it's not over the top. So I think with all of that being said, I think the Blue Lock logo is probably, for me, a strong B for Blue Lock, but also ballsy for soccer balls. All right, so everyone's favorite show ever, right? One Piece. I don't want to get into it right now, okay? You know how I feel about it by now if you are subscribed, which if you aren't subscribed, you should be subscribed now. This is your chance. I don't want to do the whole thing of like, hey, only like 20% of you subscribed. I don't want to do that. Anyway, just subscribe. So if you do know how I feel about One Piece, you do know that I'm not like the biggest fan of it. So don't take this as like a biased opinion. I honestly believe that the One Piece logo is terrible. I think it is a D tier logo. That's right. There is just too much going on. It reminds me of a ransom letter every time that I see it all just like mixed together, and then Luffy's in there, he's the eye, and then there's an anchor and rope, and it's just like there's just a lot going on, and I think it's just too much going on. I think, with time it has become so iconic, you can see it and it just automatically like, oh, that's cool, One Piece. And people who are into One Piece, I'm sure, would love just a One Piece shirt, but I would be like, no, thank you. That's just too much for me. It reminds me, like I said, of a ransom letter. There's just a lot going on for it being a logo, which is cool that they try to incorporate different things to make the logo work, but for me, it doesn't work. And for me, it is a D tier, Monkey D tier Luffy. Okay, sticking with some logos that I hate. This is probably, I don't know if it's gonna be the only F tier, but it is the only one that I'm sure about. The My Hero Academia logo, it's so bad. When I first saw this, this is honestly what kept me from watching it for so long when it first came out. I think I waited like probably till the end of the first season to finally start watching it, just because the logo itself reminds me of like Superhero Squad. I don't know if you remember that show, but that's when I first saw it, I was like, that's Superhero Squad, and they are superheroes, so maybe they took inspiration from it. I hate it. I hate the layout of it, the little triangle design. I hate the color scheme. It's just, it is a terrible logo. Again, going back to the whole like wearing it on a piece of merch thing, I think that it does not look better on merch. I think it looks worse on merch, and it's awful. It's just terrible. I don't like it, and I think it's an F. It's an F tier. If only they had somebody who had a quirk to design for them, they would probably be in a better place. But for me, the My Hero Academia logo is a definitive F. All right, let's talk about a solid A tier, because we haven't got anybody in the A tier yet. I think the Full Metal Alchemist logo is very A tier material. It is almost S tier, but I think that they could do a little bit more. I'm not sure what, but for me, it is just like, when I see it, it's very strong. It's a good logo. The color scheme is awesome. I like the fact that it looks kind of like metal, so it does reflect the whole, Full Metal Alchemist, but also it reflects Edward's color scheme. It has like the metal for his arm, and then it has the red for like his cape that he wears. So I do like the little pieces that they threw in there to kind of incorporate the whole show as in this logo. And wearing it on a shirt looks super sick. I think the big font of it all, the caps lock, basically, it looks really bold, in your face, and it's rad. I think the Full Metal Alchemist logo is just a solid A tier. When you think of A tier, this is the one that should come to your mind. It's not quite S yet. I don't know why. There's just something missing for me, but it is A tier. It's a good logo. Okay, here's a couple that just do more with less. The Odd Taxi logo, I think, looks pretty neat. I think it's a solid B tier. I do like the fact that it just incorporates the color scheme of a taxi. It's black and yellow, and you think of that, you think of a taxi. It does a little bit of a neat trick by like italicizing the D's a little bit, doing like D, odd taxi, drunk driver, designated driver, actually. I think it's a B tier logo. Also, another simple one that will fall on the B tier for me as well is the Beastars logo. I think that it is cool enough to be a B tier. I like the fact that it has the red bee, and then it has like fur, it almost looks like, and like a little bit of a star in there to give you, B star. So like the B's red and the star, B star, and then it's a double entendre. It's crazy. Don't even ask it how. Beastars is another solid B tier logo. Okay, so let's talk about another S tier logo for me. I believe the Hunter x Hunter logo is S tier, as S tier gets. The color scheme is awesome. The layout of it is cool, how it reflects, inverted and... What's the opposite of inverted? Verted? I feel dumb. Anyway, Hunter x Hunter, I like how it's just upside down and right side up. Hunter x Hunter, and then the X in the middle of it all. It's a cheat code. I think if you have any X inside of your logo, it's gonna look cool no matter what. It's gonna think very like, streetwear. It's gonna feel like a collab. You know how they always put the X in the middle, like Hello Kitty X My Hero Academia. There's always that X. It brings it all together, but also, the X and the Hunter x Hunter logo it's just S tier. And then let's talk about the Death Note logo itself. Not the regular, just straight across Death Note logo. That one's cool, but for me, my favorite logo is the one that kind of does sideways, and then you'll see it on the screen. This one is one of my favorite logos ever. It's cool. It gives you the mood of being very like gothic and emo vibes with the death and the notes and the Pokemons, all that fun stuff. I think it encapsulates the idea of the show very well. It looks cool on merch. Like I mentioned earlier, it is a big selling point for me. I would just wear a shirt that just says Death Note. It looks really nice. It looks really fashionable and subtle, and it's strong, but it's not strong enough for an S tier for me. I think it's going to be an A tier. So yeah, Death Note logo will fall in the A tier. Okay, and here's a logo that kind of also grew on me. At first, I hated it. I thought it was like F tier material. The Demon Slayer logo, I thought at first it was just doing too much. I didn't like the color scheme of it. It's a big just white blotch in the middle. I feel like it was missing something. But after time seeing it, and then seeing how his attack kind of mimics the circle, but also like moons and stuff, it all ended up working a little bit better for itself in time. At first, very off-putting, but then seeing it more, and the more popular the show got, obviously it just kind of adds to the image of it. And I think that it is, for being a bigger logo, I think it is nice. I'm gonna give it a B though. I'm not gonna give it S or A. I'm just gonna give it right in the B, because it's serviceable for the show. All right, another new show to talk about, the new hotness right now, Chainsaw Man. The logo, this is one that does too much for me. I don't like, it's getting too cute. It's making the logo, but also the logo is the chainsaw. yeah, just one of those ones where like if you try to lean too hard into what your logo is or what the title of your show is, it kind of throws it off a little bit. The color scheme I think is cool. The orange, it does fit nicely, but yeah, just the layout of it, I think it's just trying to be too cute. And for me, it just fell flat. Maybe it'll grow on me, but for now, I don't think it fits the tone of the show. And the show is just so new. I don't know what the tone of the show is. I don't read the manga, so don't spoil it for me. But from what we've been seeing, I don't think that it fits the tone of the show. I think when I see Chainsaw Man's logo, I think more like silly, and there are silly parts in the show, but for me, I think it's more of a serious show as we are going into. So with that, and just you know, the quirkiness of it, I'm gonna give it a C tier for Chainsaw Man. That's where that logo will fall for me. Okay, and wrapping it up, we have last two logos. One is going to be the Mob Psycho 100 logo. Okay, this was interesting because it got cooler over time because we added Roman numerals for each season. You know, we got the 2 and the 3, and I think that added a lot to it. But the base logo for Mob Psycho 100, I feel is cool, but it's not a whole lot. It's just, maybe because I don't read kanji, so if like I was able to read that, it would look cooler. But for us, you know, Americans here, we just see like the kanji, and then we see the 100, which is cool to see like the, you know, the juxtaposition, I guess, of, you know, the Japanese and the English, although they don't use different kanji symbols for numbers, I don't believe. Anyway, let's not get into that. The logo itself, though, cool color scheme. I like the layout of it. It did get better with time, but the base logo for Mob Psycho 100, I don't think it's the strongest, so I'm gonna give it a B tier because it's just right there in the middle for me. And then the last one we're gonna talk about is going to be the last S tier. I'm gonna have to say it here. As iconic as the show is itself, so is the logo. I'm talking about the Neon Genesis Evangelion logo. There's just a lot going on here. The switching between just like Neon Genesis, and then it kind of looks like kanji, but then there's like spikes going through it, and the color scheme, and it reminds you of the show and how crazy it is and how crazy it gets, and it just reflects it so well. And it's iconic too. When you see that logo, you're just like, oh hey, you know, despite it being a big meme, whenever you see like the logo or hear the music, the logo itself, though, you can't deny that it looks sick. It looks cool on shirts. Any other merch that you buy, it's gonna look awesome. And you know, it's very like Pokemon, it's very like mimicable. You can just do whatever you like want to put in there. Like a lot of clothing wear does that. They'll just write like their brand name but in their font. So I think that it works really well with the Neon Genesis logo. You can do the same thing where you can just kind of put whatever you want but have it reflect that logo, and it's gonna look cool. So yeah, I think that is going to be the last S tier for us. Is going to be the Neon Genesis Evangelion logo, and that will complete my tier list of anime logos / title cards. Let me know down below what you guys think. Which ones do you think are, you know, better than this, or worse than the ones that I have on here? What are some of your favorites? Also, you can let me know if you disagree with any of my opinions, which I'm sure you will. But also, as I mentioned earlier, go ahead and subscribe down below because we're almost at 100 subscribers. That's pretty cool. I think that'd be pretty fun to reach that milestone. And yeah, you can follow us. Also, all the information is down below, all that fun stuff. And until next time, go design something. Even if you're not talented, go try it. Maybe you'll find something that you enjoy.